Hello everyone, Owen here. Today we're doing a special video where we are doing a review of a kind of half mock, half not really my mock. So the mock I'm going to show you today is yet another British mock. I have been building a crap ton of British models lately, and I thought that it would be fun to show you this model. The model right off the bat is Greatrix's 060 Fowler class Ginty engine, and this engine was built because he was made for the book, the Lego Adventure book, and the first book, and it was a set of instructions on how to build the engine. And long ago, when I made my first engines, I built this engine, but in a much more of a crappy version. But after a while, when I started making my videos, like the 25 and the 082 and the M1B, I started to take parts off the engine, and eventually there was nothing left except for just the lower half. And then one day I decided I would take it out of the drawer, which is pretty much a week ago, and decided I would build it back up. So Greatrix is probably the greatest train builder, well, one of the greatest train builders that is there to exist. He is a Lego designer for Lego. He actually designs pretty much most of the Marvel sets. So whenever you get a Marvel set, that's technically some of his work. But he's mostly famous for his trains. He's a really cool dude. So he makes British trains, obviously, and he makes probably the best there is. He just captures every detail. He makes it super realistic. If you look at a picture of this model, you'd be blown away at how accurate it is. So the model itself was an engine used between 1927 to 1964, probably 1962 actually. And he put it in the book because maybe he thought it was an easy model to make or a fun one, but I think he designed it for the book itself. Of course, I owned the book, and I was lucky enough to find that he had his entire collection of trains inside it. And so, once I just looked at the instructions, I realized I have to make this engine. So there are a few books in this series, the Lego Adventure book, and there's a whole section just for Carl himself. Carl's section of the book featured his most proud work, which was all his trains, the section known as Full Steam Ahead. This is probably going to be the only train section ever in these books, and it's probably the best train section I've ever seen in a Lego book. But if we keep going past the pictures of his amazing models, Ginty's up there, we come to the instructions for the Ginty tank engine. And it's a very complex build, and it indeed was, especially for me when I was younger, which is probably why it turned out so crappy. But it was a crazy cool build when it was done. Pretty awesome. And then the info on that, it has working brakes. I could not even remotely try and start on those. I mean, I got the brakes in there, but not the actual working parts of it. So I didn't want to do that. Working lit firebox. The old version I have of this engine, I did not have a lit firebox because I did not have a light up brick, but just recently I got one, and now the firebox is able to be lit. It was somewhat difficult to make. And then I got the removable cab, which was in the original version I had, and the newer version. So that was in the book, and then it was just more pictures of his stuff. He's got a mallard, that's pretty cool. But when I saw that, I just had to make the model. And then I discovered the model recently, and I built it again. Carl's section of the book featured his most proud work, which was all his trains, the section known as Full Steam Ahead. This is probably going to be the only train section ever in these books, and it's probably the best train section I've ever seen in a Lego book. But if we keep going past the pictures of his amazing models, Ginty's up there, we come to the instructions for the Ginty tank engine. And it's a very complex build, and it indeed was, especially for me when I was younger, which is probably why it turned out so crappy. But it was a crazy cool build when it was done. Pretty awesome. And then, the info on that, it has working brakes. I could not even remotely try and start on those. I mean, I got the brakes in there, but not the actual working parts of it. So I didn't want to do that. Working lit firebox. The old version I have of this engine, I did not have a lit firebox because I did not have a light up brick, but just recently I got one, and now the firebox is able to be lit. It was somewhat difficult to make. And then I got the removable cab, which was in the original version I had, and the newer version. So that was in the book, and then it was just more pictures of his stuff. He's got a mallard, that's pretty cool. But when I saw that, I just had to make the model. And then I discovered the model recently, and I built it again. So let's go into some further depth and detail of the engine. You pretty much saw all the awesome features it has, which is lit firebox, removable cab, and working brakes, but I didn't get working brakes in there. I wasn't even sure how it's supposed to work. But, that's that. So the connecting rod design I used is not the greatest, but, because it always twists when you're going too fast, or sometimes in reverse. But it looks super realistic, and I didn't have the parts for the original rods. Most people who make this model use thicker rods, so this is really nice. So the back is probably what looks the coolest. That's why there's so many pictures of it on the back. It's just got so much detail. This section with the coal bunker and then the red buffers and then the headlamp is just perfect. So let's look inside the cab. The cab has two studs, which I made. Has two studs for a driver and fireman. Oh, it's quite squeezed. So if we move him out of the way, you'll see the brake lever, which originally, when you rotated it, it would pull a handle and a crank, which would pull the thing right here, which would pull back on the wheels. I did not have the parts, nor the interest, nor the idea of how to make that. It may have been cool, but I wasn't up for it, neither back then or now. But the best part, for sure, is all the gold, and then when you press the firebox inwards, I will show how this works later on, not by taking apart the engine, but by looking at the instructions. If you push the firebox, this happens. And you can leave it there. And it's just a nice fire, and it gives the coolest look. I like having fires in a working engine, like the Pierre Marquette and this engine, and I think it looks super awesome. The gold really gives it a great touch. That gold is just perfect British engines. Got the whistle, you got the throttle gauges of the piping. There's supposed to be a gold part over here, but I don't have that yet. And then you've got the throttle, which you just twist. And some parts, most of the boiler is in sections. And if you pull the boiler out, it goes out. Since I didn't get the brake feature in, I don't think there's not much worth showing you other than just the look of the engine. And it's pretty basic. I did have to seal the boiler up to 25 in order to get this done, but I think you guys want to see this. So I'll get a boiler parts for 25 later on. But it's pretty much the same all around. And just pretty much the most fantastic British model I've ever seen. And I'm so happy I could make one of my own. I really thank Carl for actually doing this. Like, it really gave me some hope to make this channel, actually, the original model. I was so happy with the model, I wanted to make more. So I built the M1B, and I built more and more and more and more. And I was just so happy with it. And I really hope if you guys have that LEGO Adventure book, I really want you guys to build this. It's a great model. It does require some parts, however. That's the only disc, but once it's built, it's way, way worth it. The ways I did my decals right here, I literally put them on like 5 minutes ago. I just printed them and then cut around them, and they were pretty much dark enough to fit this black. But if it's too light of a black, then just go over it with a Sharpie. I know there's better ways of doing decals, but that's my way. Cheap and easy. And one other small feature is you can change position the mark of the lantern on the front to whoever you want, but it's not so easy with the back side. I mean, I guess you could hang it. I'm not even going to take it off. It's too hard on there. But yeah. So guys, this is a great model for my British collection. I really like it. I really want you guys to either get the book and get the instructions, look up the instructions, or look at the instructions you have in the book already. So, that's the Jinty. This next British mock is a British fruit truck. So, this fruit truck started out very well, and it ended up very well. My intention was also from the exact same book. And it was Carl's, I'm going to try and get it up here. Carl had made a bunch of trucks, and one of them was a cattle truck, and I just fell in love with that red, green, and tan. It was perfect British colors. So I set out to start making the front. I didn't know exactly what I was going to go for, but then I got the idea that I did not have enough brown pieces right here to make the whole cattle car in order to have any cattle itself. So I decided to make a fruit truck. And it's good because my mom's dad, so I was telling my granddad, he had a business where he would have this old truck from the 60s and pull around fruit. It was his fruit company, and I thought it was a good idea to do that. You can open the back, take all the fruit, and the back of the truck is specifically made for this kind of cargo, but you can probably replace some. You got milk bottles, I guess. You got lemons and limes, fruit sodas. There's supposed to be a bag of apples in there, but no one could really tell. Bananas and grapes. Or cherries, I'm not really sure. This underside has detailing too. It's probably my best truck undersiding. The chrome wheels, I try to get as much chrome on here as possible. I have yet to put chrome on this wheel in the back, but I've got chrome hubcaps on the front, a chrome grille, more chrome the merrier. And then I've yet to make the rest of the bumper chrome, the back bumper. You got a wrench, and only room for one driver. And then windshield wipers, and mirrors, and number plate. So that's the fruit truck. So guys, this was, I guess, the third British Railway Mocs video. I could call it the Carl Greatrix models, in a way. I'm not really sure I'm going to call this video. You'll see it when you click on the video, obviously. But I do have some more mocks to show you. I have one vehicle to show you, and then I have two buildings. One which is the biggest building, the biggest mock I've ever made for this channel. So look forward to seeing that. And yeah, I've got some more videos to upload, so those will come in the future. I've got another. The one of them is Sumter. Not Sumter. Staver Steam Up, which is one of the first videos on this channel, sort of. I've got a second video coming out, and it's a pretty good one. So that will come out soon, hopefully. I usually say this kind of stuff and then I forget about it, but hopefully I'll do it. And then, yeah guys, please try and get this book and look at the models. You will be inspired, I promise you, if you like trains. And if you really like this Jinty model, then I suggest looking at the model itself on Carl Greatrix's Flickr page. Get some ideas. If you really want to, buy the book and get the instructions. Alright guys, bye.